We all know the best revenge story ever told. Men break into John Wick's home, kill his dog, and he stops at nothing to hold those accountable. But what if it was the other way around? What could a dog do to get revenge for its master? It all started in late 1400s France, in the midst of the 100-Year War with England. The country suffered with occupation, civil disputes, and the royals acting positively insane. A knight by the name of Audrey de Montadier took a walk through the ancient forest of Bondy, which covered most of northeast Paris, with his greyhound, Huston. At some point, Aubrey was murdered and buried in a shallow grave in the forest. The dog, being as faithful as ever, stayed with its master's body for a while before returning home and finding some of Aubrey's fellow knights and leading them to his body. Aubrey's friends recovered his body and buried him. But with little evidence to go on, there wasn't much hope of finding the killer, as forensics wasn't even a thing yet, and the remote nature of the crime left no witnesses, except for Huston. Huston was adopted by one of the knights, as he was a well-trained dog and to honour their fallen friend. The dog, who had been known to be calm, started acting strange in the company of another knight, Robert Macaire. The dog had uncharacteristically growled and even attacked Robert on several occasions. Word quickly spread with notables and other knights of the court. People started to see these outbursts as the dog trying to accuse the man of murder, and soon word made its way back to the King of France himself, King Charles V, or maybe the 6th, the history books are undecided about that. It was much more likely King Charles V, as he was known for sporadic actions and outbursts, such as murdering his own knights in a hunting party and believing his body was made of glass. And with where this story is going, it much more suits him than the tactical mastermind that was King Charles VI. Either way, after the king heard of the dog, he decided that it was in fact accusing Robert of murdering his master. At the time, trial by combat was seen as a just way of deciding guilt or innocence, so in his divine wisdom, the king set up a duel. The dog was to face Robert in singles combat. Robert was armed with a club to even out the fight, and in front of the king himself and high-ranking officials of France, the dog having to be restrained by a knight on a rope, and Robert, with his club, faced off in an arena on the Isle of Notre Dame in central Paris. The dog, just seeing Robert, went into a frenzy, and when the duel was ordered to start, ran straight for Robert. The club was knocked from his hand, and the dog kept going for the man's throat. Knocking him to the ground, the man stood very little chance against the full-size greyhound. He balled up to protect his neck, and after a few minutes of biting and clawing from the dog, he yelled out that he would confess if someone got the dog off of him. In front of the king, Robert confessed to his crime and was sentenced to death by hanging. While details and the legitimacy of this story is widely debated, Huston became a symbol of justice and loyalty in France, his story having been retold throughout the centuries in literatures and plays. There is even a statue in France commemorating the hound that still stands to this day. This is a story I've known about for a while, and I always wanted to do a video on this, so I'm glad I finally got one out. It's a shorter video because I realised I hadn't uploaded in a while and I just wanted to get this out. But while doing research for this, I discovered that dogs actually have a really big sense of justice. For example, there was a man in China who was returning home when he found a stray dog in his usual parking spot in front of his apartment building. Being a frustrated and evil man that he is, he decided to kick the dog to get it to move, an action he would later regret. When he returned to his car the next day, he discovered it had been mauled, the tyres were shredded, and the wipers were missing, and teeth marks were all over the bodywork. He soon found out, after his neighbour showed him a video of the ordeal, that the dog had returned with a pack and absolutely laid waste to the car. There's another story in the English town of Brampton. It had been plagued with a seemingly relentless stream of car vandalism. Over the 6-month period, a criminal had popped over 24 car tyres belonging to local residents. Police had no leads as to who the culprit was. One victim, Ann Taylor, sought to end the crime wave and set up CCTV cameras. That's when the criminal was caught red-handed. Turns out the vandal plaguing the town was a border collie named Jess, who in fact had it out for cars. The pup had been run over a few months ago and was intent on seeking revenge. Kinda crazy to think that a dog knows how to disable a car. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, do let me know. Sorry it's so short and took so long to make. I've been moving and my birthday's just been and gone. But yeah, no more excuses. Hopefully uploads will be fairly more regular now.